How fake people react when they realize you can't be fooled. Simple. They panic. Wait, but what if I told you? They won't admit it. They won't apologize. They won't take responsibility. Instead, they'll shift tactics, playing the victim, twisting your words, and turning others against you, all while acting innocent. They don't attack head-on. They operate behind the scenes, planting doubt, bending reality, and waiting for you to break. And by the time you notice, they've already set their trap. But here's the truth. You don't need to fight back or prove anything. The real power isn't in battling every lie. It's in staying unshaken, unreadable, and untouchable. So how do fake people react when they know they've lost control? And how do you make sure they never get it back? Stay until the end, because the last one is the most dangerous of all. But before we dive in, pay attention to this story, which will help you better understand the wisdom in this material. The story of Oliver. Oliver had always been trusting. He believed in giving people chances, assuming everyone had good intentions. But over the years, he noticed something strange. Whenever he believed in someone too easily, they took advantage of him. Whenever he trusted words instead of actions, he ended up disappointed. Whenever he let things slide, people mistook his kindness for weakness. One day, after being deceived yet again, Oliver visited his grandfather, a wise old man known for his deep understanding of human nature. "Grandfather," Oliver sighed, "I don't understand. The moment I stop being naive, people start acting cold. The moment I stop falling for their tricks, they turn against me. Why does this always happen?" His grandfather smiled and handed Oliver a bowl of sugar and a glass of water. "Stir this sugar into the water," he instructed. Oliver did as told, watching the sugar dissolve instantly. The water remained clear, but now it was sweet. Then his grandfather handed him a small stone. "Now drop this in," he said. Oliver dropped the stone. It sank straight to the bottom, unmoving. His grandfather chuckled. "Fake people react the same way, my boy." Oliver frowned. "I don't understand." The old man leaned forward. "When you were easy to fool, you were like sugar in water. You blended in, making things sweet for everyone. But the moment you became aware, you turned into the stone, unmoved, unshaken. And fake people? They don't like what they can't dissolve." Oliver sat in stunned silence. "Fake people don't hate you because you changed," his grandfather continued. "They hate you because you stopped being easy to manipulate." That night, Oliver made a decision. He stopped apologizing for seeing through deception. He stopped feeling guilty for setting boundaries. He stopped explaining himself to those who only liked the sugar version of him, and as expected, some people left. But something magical happened. The real ones stayed, because he finally understood. True relationships don't need sugar to survive. Only fake ones do. Fake people don't leave because you changed. They leave because you stopped being easy to fool. The moment they realize their tricks no longer work, they get defensive. When you call them out, they act offended. And when they can't manipulate you, they play the victim to make you feel guilty. But remember this: sugar dissolves while a stone remains. If you change yourself just to blend in, you'll lose your strength. So stay firm, stay aware, and let the fake ones leave, because the right people will never need you to shrink for them. Before we begin with the first lesson, if you find these videos helpful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest content. Let's begin. Number 1, they get defensive. Let's talk about what happens when fake people realize you're not easy to fool. They get defensive. Instead of admitting their deception, instead of owning up to their manipulation, they double down. They twist the truth, shift blame, and try to make you feel like the problem. Why? because admitting they were wrong would mean losing control over you. Here's the truth. People who deceive others rarely admit it. They justify it. They'll say things like, "You're overreacting," or "That's not what I meant," or "You're just misunderstanding me." But pay attention. It's not an apology. It's a defense mechanism, because in their mind, the worst thing isn't being wrong, it's being exposed. Think of it like a cornered animal. When a snake feels trapped, it doesn't apologize, it strikes. Fake people do the same. The moment they sense you see through their lies, they panic. They attack with words, play the victim, or even turn the blame back on you. But remember, their defensiveness isn't strength, it's fear. They're afraid of being seen for who they really are, and this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "A wise man owns his faults, but a fool buries them in excuses." The difference between real and fake people is simple. Real people take responsibility. Fake ones run from it. If someone can't own their mistakes, if they always have an excuse ready, they're not honest. They're just trying to escape accountability. I remember dealing with someone who always had a way of twisting reality. One day, they got caught lying. Instead of admitting it, they laughed and said, "Wow, you're really making a big deal out of nothing." That's when it hit me. They weren't denying the lie, they were just shifting focus. They wanted to make me feel guilty for calling them out. But I didn't fall for it. I simply said, "I see what you're doing." That was it. No argument, no explanation. And you know what? They had nothing left to say. Because the moment you stop reacting, you take away their power. So how do you handle people like this? First, don't engage in their excuses. If someone won't own their mistakes, don't waste time debating them. Second, let your silence speak. You don't need to argue. Just recognizing the truth is enough. And finally, walk away from those who refuse to grow. If someone can never admit fault, they'll never change. At the end of the day, a person who gets defensive instead of honest isn't someone you can trust. Let them dig their hole of excuses while you walk away with your peace intact. Number 2, they play the victim. Let's talk about one of the most manipulative tactics fake people use when they realize you're not falling for their games. They play the victim. When their lies, deception, and manipulation don't work, they don't apologize or change. Instead, they flip the script. Suddenly, they're the one who's been wronged. They act as if you've treated them unfairly, twisting reality to make themselves look like the innocent one and you the aggressor. Here's the truth. Fake people never take responsibility for their actions. They shift blame. They exaggerate situations, misrepresent what happened, and conveniently leave out details that would expose their role in the conflict. They don't look for a resolution. They look for sympathy. And if they can turn people against you in the process, even better. Because for them, the goal isn't truth, it's control. Think of it like a broken mirror. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that has been slightly cracked. No matter how straight you stand, the reflection is distorted. You start questioning yourself, am I really the bad one here? That's exactly what happens when fake people play the victim. They twist reality just enough to make you doubt your own perception. But here's the truth. The mirror is broken, not you. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "To complain is always non-productive and never appropriate." People who constantly blame others, who refuse to take responsibility, and who rely on playing the victim aren't looking for solutions. They're looking for control. True strength doesn't come from making excuses. It comes from owning your actions. I once had someone in my life who always made excuses for their actions. Every time they did something wrong and I called them out, they turned the situation around. One day, after I confronted them about breaking my trust, instead of apologizing, they completely dodged accountability. They started telling everyone how hurt they were, how they never expected me to act this way, how all they ever wanted was peace. At first, I felt confused, even guilty. But then I realized it wasn't about what I had done. It was about making sure no one questioned them. So instead of defending myself, I did the one thing they weren't expecting. I said nothing. And that's when their act fell apart. So how do you handle people like this? First, don't fall for their guilt traps. The more you try to explain or defend yourself, the deeper they pull you in. Second, state the truth, but don't argue. You don't need to prove anything to someone who's twisting the story. And finally, walk away. If someone refuses to take responsibility for their actions, they will never change. At the end of the day, fake people play the victim because they fear responsibility. But that's their burden to carry, not yours. So let them stay trapped in their excuses while you move forward with your peace intact. If you found this valuable, hit like and subscribe for more powerful insights. Number 3, they try to guilt trip you. Let's talk about one of the most draining tactics fake people use when they realize they can't manipulate you. They try to guilt trip you. When direct control fails, when lies don't work, when playing the victim isn't enough, they resort to guilt. Because if they can't change your mind with logic, they'll try to weaken it with emotions. Here's the truth. Guilt tripping isn't about fairness, it's about control. They'll say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. I guess I just won't ask for help anymore. I thought you cared, but clearly I was wrong." But pay attention, these aren't real concerns. These are tactics. They don't care about how you feel. They care about making you doubt yourself just enough to give in. Think of it like emotional handcuffs. Imagine someone locking invisible chains around your mind. Every guilt trip they throw at you tightens the grip, making you feel stuck, making you feel like you owe them something. But here's the key. Those chains only exist if you believe in them. The moment you recognize what they're doing, you break free. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "He who controls his emotions controls his destiny." That's the secret, emotional control. Guilt only works when you let it. When you master your emotions, when you stop reacting to their manipulations, they lose their power over you. I remember dealing with someone who always used guilt as a weapon. Whenever I set a boundary, they'd hit me with, "Wow, I guess I just don't matter to you anymore." At first it worked. I felt bad. I second-guessed myself, I explained. But then I stopped. One day I simply said, "I see what you're doing." Nothing more. And just like that, they had nothing left to say. Because guilt tripping only works if you play along. So, how do you handle people like this? First, recognize the pattern. If someone constantly makes you feel guilty for standing your ground, that's manipulation, not concern. Second, stay calm and don't explain yourself. The more you justify, the deeper the guilt trap gets. And finally, stand firm. You don't owe anyone your peace. If someone truly respects you, they won't need to guilt trip you in the first place. At the end of the day, guilt tripping is just another form of manipulation. But once you stop reacting, once you take control of your emotions, they lose control of you. Number 4, they spread lies about you. Let's talk about one of the lowest tactics fake people use when they realize they can't control you. They spread lies. When direct manipulation fails, when guilt tripping doesn't work, and when they see you standing strong, they shift to controlling how others perceive you. It's not enough for them to be powerless over you. They want to make sure others turn against you too. Here's the truth. People who can't control you will try to control your reputation. They spread whispers behind your back, carefully crafting stories that make them look like the victim and you like the villain. They won't attack directly. Instead, they'll plant doubt. They'll make vague statements like, "I don't want to say too much, but I just think people should know the kind of person they really are." They drop hints, hoping others will take the bait and spread the rumors for them. And before you know it, a lie repeated enough times starts to sound like the truth. Think of it like poison in a well. Imagine a well filled with clear, pure water. It stands tall, strong, and has been there for years. But one day, someone drops a single drop of poison into it. At first, nothing seems different. The water looks the same. But over time, people hesitate to drink from it. They whisper, "I heard the water isn't safe anymore." Some believe it, some don't. But one thing is certain, the damage is done. This is exactly how false rumors work. They start as a single lie, but if left unchecked, they contaminate how people see you. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Truth stands, even if there be no public support. It is self-sustained." Lies may spread quickly, but they are weak. They require constant maintenance. The truth, on the other hand, doesn't need defending. It stands on its own, waiting for those willing to see it. I once had someone in my life who spread false stories about me the moment they realized I wasn't under their control. At first, I wanted to fight back, to defend myself, to clear my name. But then I stopped. Instead of chasing every rumor, I focused on staying true to myself. And a strange thing happened. The people who truly knew me didn't believe the lies. They saw the inconsistency, the gaps in the story. Over time, the truth revealed itself, and the person who tried to ruin my reputation ended up exposing their own. That's the thing about deception. It always unravels. So how do you handle people like this? First, don't waste time defending yourself to those who never asked for your side. The people who matter will see the truth, and the ones who believe lies were never in your corner anyway. Second, let your actions do the talking. A solid reputation isn't built through words, it's built through consistency. And finally, remember that time exposes everything. The louder they scream their lies, the harder they'll fall when the truth comes out. At the end of the day, you don't need to chase down every lie. Let them talk, let them spread their poison, because the truth is like a well that can't stay contaminated forever. Eventually, the water clears, and the liars are left drinking their own poison. Number 5. They suddenly act overly nice. Let's talk about a strange shift in behavior that happens when fake people realize their usual tricks aren't working. They suddenly act overly nice. At first, they tried to manipulate you, guilt-trip you, or spread lies. But when none of that worked, they switched tactics. Now, instead of being cold or distant, they're showering you with flattery, excessive kindness, and fake concern. Here's the truth. When someone who once tried to control you suddenly becomes overly nice, it's not kindness, it's strategy. They're not being genuine. They're testing if they can win back your trust. They'll say things like, "I've been thinking a lot, and I just want to make things right with you. I never appreciated you enough before, but now I see how much you mean to me. You're so amazing. I don't know why we ever had problems." At first, it might feel good to hear these words, but if you look closer, you'll notice something missing: accountability. They aren't apologizing for past behavior. They aren't admitting their faults. They're just trying to soften you up so they can regain control. Think of it like a hunter and a trap. Imagine a hunter setting a trap in the forest. If they chase an animal, it runs. So instead, they leave out food, something sweet and tempting. The animal lets its guard down, thinking it's safe, until the trap snaps shut. This is how fake kindness works. When direct control fails, manipulators switch to baiting you with charm, compliments, and fake affection. But their goal isn't connection, it's capture. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "The flatterer's object is to please, not to benefit." Real kindness has no hidden agenda, but flattery always comes with strings attached. If someone's sudden niceness feels off, trust your instincts. Because genuine people don't have to switch tactics to keep you close. I remember dealing with someone who tried to manipulate me for a long time. When I stopped falling for their games, they suddenly changed overnight. They started complimenting me, acting as if they had just realized my worth. At first, I almost believed it, until I noticed something strange. They never acknowledged what they had done before. No apologies, no responsibility, just sweet words designed to pull me back in. That's when I knew. This wasn't kindness, it was calculation. And the moment I stopped responding, their niceness vanished just as quickly as it appeared. So how do you handle people like this? First, recognize the pattern. If someone switches from being manipulative to overly kind, question their motives. Second, don't let flattery cloud your judgment. Just because they say nice things doesn't mean they've changed. And finally, trust consistency, not words. Real people don't need to overcompensate to prove they care. At the end of the day, fake kindness is just another form of manipulation. When someone who once tried to control you suddenly starts acting sweet, ask yourself, is this real or is this just another trick? Because true kindness doesn't need an agenda. It just is. If you've watched the video this far, don't forget to leave a comment with a thank God and give it a like if you enjoyed the content. Your support means a lot and motivates me to keep creating more interesting videos. I hope you find inspiration in them and that we continue learning together. Thank you for your support. Number 6. They disappear when they can't control you. Let's talk about a silent but revealing reaction fake people have when they realize they can't control you anymore. They disappear. They stop calling, stop checking in, and suddenly, the person who once acted like they cared about you is nowhere to be found. But here's the thing. It's not because they've changed or grown. It's because you're no longer useful to them. Here's the truth. When someone leaves the moment they lose control over you, they were never really there for you. They were there for themselves. People like this don't build real relationships. They build transactions. As long as you serve their interests, as long as you give them attention, validation, or obedience, they stay. But the moment you stop feeding their ego, they leave in search of their next target. Think of it like a leech. A leech only sticks to you as long as it's getting something. The moment it can't feed off you anymore, it lets go and moves on. Fake people are the same way. They attach themselves when they can benefit, but the second they realize they can't drain you, they vanish. And in the end, you're left better off without them. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Aristotle once said, "A friend to all is a friend to none." Real friendships are built on mutual respect, not convenience. If someone only stays when things benefit them, they were never a true friend to begin with. I remember someone in my life who always made me feel like we were close, until one day I stopped letting them control me. I stopped saying yes to every favor, stopped entertaining their drama, and started setting boundaries. And just like that, they disappeared. No fight, no explanation, just gone. At first I felt confused, even a little guilty. But then I realized their absence wasn't a loss. It was proof of their true intentions. Because real friends don't vanish when they can't control you. They respect you even more. So how do you handle people like this? First, don't chase them. If someone disappears the moment they lose power over you, let them go. Second, see their exit as a gift. You're not losing a friend. You're shedding someone who was never real to begin with. And finally, focus on those who stay. The right people in your life will be there for you, not because they need something, but because they value you. At the end of the day, losing someone who only stayed for control isn't a loss, it's freedom. So when they disappear, don't wonder what you did wrong. Smile, move forward, and remember, real connections don't vanish when the power shifts. Number 7. They try to isolate you. Let's talk about one of the most calculated and toxic tactics fake people use when they realize they can't fool you. They try to isolate you. If they can't control you directly, they take a different route. Instead of manipulating you, they manipulate those around you, turning friends, colleagues, or even family against you, all in an attempt to make you feel alone and powerless. Here's the truth. When someone fears your strength, they try to weaken your support system. They don't want people to see your independence, your ability to think for yourself, or your unwillingness to play their games. So, they whisper, they plant doubts, and they create subtle divisions. You may start hearing things like, "I don't know what's up with them lately, but they've changed. I just don't think they're the person you think they are. You should be careful who you trust." Notice how they never say anything outright. They don't attack. You do that yourself when their words make you doubt your relationships. That's their goal, to make you question who's truly on your side. Think of it like weeds in a garden. Imagine you have a beautiful, strong tree. It stands tall, unshaken by the wind. But instead of trying to cut the tree down, someone plants weeds around it, choking its roots, stealing its sunlight, and making it struggle. The tree is still strong, but over time it starts to feel weaker because its surroundings are turning against it. That's what isolation tactics do. They don't attack your strength directly. They attack your connections, hoping you wither away on your own. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "Associate only with those who will make a better man of you." Your strength isn't measured by how many people are in your life. It's measured by the quality of the people you surround yourself with. If someone can be easily turned against you, they were never truly with you to begin with. I once knew someone who, after realizing they couldn't control me, started spreading subtle rumors behind my back. At first I didn't notice, but then I began seeing people treat me differently. Shorter conversations, distant looks, fewer invitations. When I found out what was happening, my first instinct was to explain myself, to fight back. But then I stopped. I realized, if someone was so quick to believe lies about me, they were never my real friends anyway. So I let go. And over time, the truth revealed itself. The same people who distanced themselves eventually saw the manipulator for who they really were. And the ones who never doubted me, they were the only ones worth keeping. So how do you handle people like this? First, don't chase those who turn away easily. If someone believes lies without asking for your side, let them go. Second, strengthen the relationships that matter. Fake people want you to feel alone. Prove them wrong by nurturing the real connections in your life. And finally, trust that truth wins over time. No matter how much they try to isolate you, real loyalty can't be broken by lies. At the end of the day, people who try to isolate you do so because they fear your strength. But you don't need to fight them. Stand tall, let them reveal themselves, and remember, real connections don't crumble under manipulation. If you found this valuable, hit like and subscribe for more powerful insights.